Senator Grassley.
Thank you, Senator Stabenow. Congratulations once again to the Secretary for being renominated for this position. In your previous position, you used the Commodity Credit Corporation for E15 and E85 pumps to help increase biofuel infrastructure. You probably don't know this, but in the CARES Act #1 last March, we put $24.5 billion into it to help agriculture and food distribution for food supplement for lower income people, et cetera, et cetera. We tried to get the previous Secretary of Agriculture to use some of that money to help biofuels producers because we had just a lot of plants shut down or go into partial operation. So we made it very clear, since the previous secretary said he didn't think he had the authority to do it, in the recent CARES Act passed before Christmas, we included authority for the secretary to do that. So I'm hoping, if confirmed, I guess maybe I should say I'm really asking you a question, would you be able to help us with this authority to utilize your authority to provide direct assistance to biofuel producers negatively impacted by COVID-19?
Senator, I am aware of the fact that the industry didn't get the help that it needed, and certainly look for ways in which we can be assisting the industry. There's, in addition to what you mentioned, there's also the opportunity to take a look at the infrastructure program that Secretary Perdue did start. Not all of those resources, as I understand it, have been invested, so potentially there's a way that also could provide opportunities for us to help the industry at this point in time. So we will continue to look for ways to provide assistance because it's about strong markets for farmers and it's about jobs in rural areas.
Okay. Ensuring an affordable, safe, and stable supply of food is one of the most important jobs that you or any Secretary of Ag has. This past April, disruptions in beef production peaked when nearly 40% of the nation's beef processing capacity was idled, while the normal spread between boxed beef cutout value and fed cattle is around $21 last April. The spread was over $279 per hundredweight, and the highest spread ever recorded. Because just 4 companies control over 80% of beef processing, the concentration of power in the industry led to beef shortages at grocery stores and producers out of luck to get bids on their animals. If you're confirmed, do you plan to reintroduce your fair market practices rule that you published the last week of the Obama administration? And I believe I was very supportive of what you were doing at that time, but then, you know, Trump came in and didn't move ahead with it. And so I hope that you'd be willing to go along that same line again.
Well, Senator, I think we will take a very close and detailed look at every tool that USDA has available to it to ensure more openness and more fairness and more transparency in our markets. And we'll also look for ways in which we can work collaboratively with the Department of Justice if there are issues relating to antitrust that need to be explored in greater detail. And we'll also take a look at ways in which we can provide incentives or resources that could potentially expand the amount of processing facilities in the country so that we're not faced with the disruption that we've seen in the past. We're not faced with market distortions that we've seen in the past, and we've not faced with farmers and ranchers believing that they're not getting a fair shake, as we've seen in the past.
We continue to see large farms use loopholes to maximize crop insurance payments. I've long advocated for the responsible payment limitations on commodity programs and believe farmers should only receive payments if they're actually engaged on the farm and running the farm and working the farm. In 2020, the U.S. Department of Agriculture announced final rules on the definition of actively engaged in farming as part of the 2018 Farm Bill. This rule would have required additional family members to provide either 25% of the total management hours required or perform at least 500 hours of management each year. However, just weeks later, the USDA said that they made a mistake. It didn't apply to family-run operations. How would you define actively engaged as it relates to commodity program payments? Or put another way, so I really only have one question. How many hours does someone need to work to qualify for a farm payment? Now, that may be a difficult question for you to ask, but it gives you a chance to tell me how you would approach this so that we don't have a lot of people that aren't really involved in farming to not get the help that only family farmers should get.
You know, Senator, I think this is a really important question. And the reason it's an important question is because so few people in this country farm. But people that you work with in the Congress and the Senate may represent districts or may represent states that are less agricultural than a state of Iowa, like a state of Iowa. And so it becomes important for us to have programs that are legitimate, that are effective, efficient, and that are defensive. And makes it more difficult for you to advocate on behalf of a proper safety net, proper risk management tools, if those tools are being abused, if they're being utilized in a way that provides help and assistance to people that might be practicing law in a high rise in some big city, as opposed to being on the ground in a tractor and a combine, as you often are. So my goal here would be to make sure that the programs that we have that provide that safety net are designed to help the people most in need of that help. The farmers on the ground, the people that are actually at risk financially, the folks that are sweating it out every single day in terms of markets, and not necessarily create a system that can be gamed. I don't know if that's a direct answer to the question, but I hope it gives you a sense of where my values are, where my focus will be. It's on helping farmers. It's not on helping people who may be part of a partnership or a limited partnership or a general partner structures that are set up to create avenues for people to take advantage of these programs. That doesn't help the program. It doesn't help you as an advocate for the program, and it doesn't help legitimize the appropriateness of a safety net for farmers.
Thank you very much.